Hello, and thanks for joining me at DCD Transporters. So, I don't think any of us are going to let the collaboration with Ford slip at the minute, are we? We're still hurting from the fact that Volkswagen has collaborated with technically the enemy on what is the new Transporter. So, yeah, there's so many people trying to defend it, so many people trying to hate it. Rightly or wrongly, none of us are particularly happy. But actually, there's a Transporter out there that's even worse. And believe it or not, there's a collaboration on the Transporter before we got the collaboration with Ford. Now, this collaboration is two German companies, Volkswagen and another, that made potentially the worst Transporter there has ever been. And we've got one here. And actually, we bought one. So I'm going to tell you why it was the worst Transporter Volkswagen ever made.
So back in 2018, Abt E-Line started work with Volkswagen on converting the Transporter to electric. And initially, this looked and sounded like it was going to be a great project. The potential is amazing. It's Volkswagen's T6, it's a great van. Abt had got some great technology going on, so we were all pretty hopeful that this new electric van could potentially be a great thing. But the reality is unfortunately pretty different. So here it is, potentially the worst Transporter Volkswagen ever made. So what is it? It's a 6.1. So is it that bad? So you might know ABT or Abt as a tuning company. They do a lot of work with Audi. They've made some pretty spunky RS6s, body kits, tuning, engine upgrades, obviously alloy wheels, all that kind of stuff. So they're a pretty cool company, German based, and they do some stuff with Volkswagen Audi Group. So why is this so bad? Well, this is from their E-Line department. So Abt E-Line is the electric division of Abt. So I think the primary reason why people really didn't catch on with this ABT Abt Transporter is the fact that its range is rubbish. So why did we end up with one? Why have we bought this really potentially bad Transporter?
I'm always checking eBay and Auto Trader and the other classifieds for vans, looking about, and I was actually looking for a 5.1. So I thought, right, I'm going to set myself a budget and see if we can get a tidy 5.1 with reasonable miles for less than 10 grand. Is there something out there that we could make nice and turn into a little demo van, have potentially as a hire vehicle, that wouldn't need a lot of work to make pretty? So the search began, and with the budget of 10 grand, I must admit, there's lots out there, but I was really struggling to find something with reasonable mileage in nice condition that we didn't have to go and spend a fortune on. The other thing for me is I did not want a converted van, and we see lots of other vans that are converted that come up for sale, and I'll be honest, we're just not interested. You know, we want to start from fresh. So there's also a lot of vans that have been messed about with. There's a lot of vans out there that are now older, so like the T4s and early T5s and T5.1s that have been in not necessarily the same ownership for a long time, but owners that want to modify and, you know, change bits, keep updating things, add their own little touches. Now, I don't have an issue with that, and we'll do that to this one. So it's not really something that's a negative as long as it's done properly. But we looked at quite a few T5.1s over the last couple of weeks that were quite modified, and they weren't modified nicely. So there's a lot of accessories that had been added and not added particularly well. The accessories on their own might have been okay, but there's like wiring issues, fitment problems, and just unfortunately not great quality stuff being added to these vans. So it was getting a little frustrating. So I cast the net a little bit wider. So I just thought, well, what will, you know, not restricting the years between an early T5 and a late T5.1, is there anything out there for that kind of budget that could potentially be a nice demo van or something we can have and turn into something quite nice? And then this popped up. This is a 2021, like I said, apt conversion for the E-Line Transporter T6.1 with less than 7,000 miles under our budget. And it was so hard to ignore that I was just like, what is it with it? Are these really that bad? So I started to do a little bit of research on them. They've had a few issues, but no more than any other 6.1 that's on the market. And their major problem is the range. So when we went to go and look at it, they charged it up for us to have a look, and potentially its range was just going to be sub 80 miles. There's a lot of videos out there where guys have been running these vans since they come out, and yeah, it seems pretty typical when the temperature drops, you're going to get somewhere between sort of 65 and 80 miles out of a full battery. More optimum conditions, warmer temperature, you're going to get close to 80-85 miles, which is that claimed range. But then as soon as the temperature starts to drop, then obviously that's going to degrade. So we've ended up with a van that we really can't take anywhere. But is that necessarily a problem? For me, no, because I only live a mile away from the workshop. So this is a great van in that respect. So we've got a van that doesn't care whether I start it in the cold, doesn't care that I only do a mile, whereas our other 6.1 with a 204 engine, that's going to get pretty upset if we keep driving it for just a mile. And especially as the temperature drops, it's going to be not potentially an issue, but we're going to have to run it, aren't we? We're going to have to take it down the main roads every week or so just to give it a run, because otherwise it's going to start to get a little bit fussy with me trying to move it only a mile at the beginning of the day and another mile to get back home. So this is going to be better long term for that kind of use. Oh, it looks just like the typical T6.1 that you might get into, apart from the rev counter, which is slightly different. So it just tells you how much battery you're using in terms of percentage of the battery you're demanding. So it's the 246810 figure going around the dash there. So if we hold it down, turn the key, it now goes live and ready to move. And then as we accelerate, obviously depending on how hard you accelerate, that needle's going to move towards the 10, which is 100% use, and obviously you want to try and keep it in the blue. So, and then when it drops into the green as you're slowing down or coming off the throttle, then obviously that's charging the battery up. Anyway, that's not particularly what we're interested in. We're just having a look around and seeing what it is. So as you can see, the mileage has just tripped around to 7,000. We picked it up on about 6,800 and something. So I've been moving it around, using it for a little bit now. We put a couple of 100 miles on it. I really like it. I think it's a great van. What a shame it doesn't go any further. If the range was better, these things would be really good, and that would be a potentially, I reckon, like 30 grand van, but it isn't. It's a very cheap van because it only suits certain people. But yeah, if we look through the rest of the dash, it's all fairly typical of what you'd expect. Oddly, they have a DSG gearbox, not a single gear like what most electric cars and vans do now. Obviously the tech is nowhere near as advanced as what the new Transporter has got on their e-Transporter. So this is quite primitive technology, very first gen electric vehicle technology, but it works. It's pretty good actually. It's smooth, it's super quiet, it's all the things you actually want out of a van. You don't want a van to be noisy. What do I want a noisy van for? But yeah, I'm sure people are going to say something different.
But yeah, this is a nice place to be because it's a 6.1, isn't it? So a little look underneath the engine bay. You can see the high voltage system and the inverter there, coupled to just hidden down there in the darkness, the DSG gearbox, same cooling system, same radiators as a normal 6.1, but with all of the electric gubbins going on. Going in towards the back of the van, the cargo area is exactly the same as a normal long wheelbase transporter. It's absolutely no different, with the exception of these little plates down here, which is where some of the battery mounting points are, and you don't get the load lashings on the front section. So there must be something underneath those, which means they've deleted those, where the load lashings are in all the normal positions, whereas on a normal long wheelbase you'd get one there as well. So there must be something underneath that, which then means you can't have that bolt going through the floor. But other than that, they are exactly the same. So a really good load capacity potential in there. And these electric ones have actually got a very high capacity for weight, much better than what the Buzz is. These will take 997 kilos, so nearly a ton. So it's just disappointing with the range, but otherwise they would have made a great van. So is this quirky little van the worst thing that Volkswagen's actually made? The stupidest van they've probably ever come up with the idea of. Well, actually, that's a bit unfair, isn't it? I think the idea of this is potentially very, very good. It actually drives amazing. It's lovely to drive. It's super smooth. It's really quiet. It's a really lovely driving experience. It's just let down by the fact that you just physically can't take it very far. So in that term, is it really the worst thing that Volkswagen's ever made? Is this worse than the new Transporter, or would you still rather have one of these than that Ford collaboration? Is the collaboration with Apt better than the collaboration with Ford? It's a difficult one, isn't it? You might actually be able to use the Ford, where this thing, you really can't take it very far. So I'm going to add our little touches to this van. So the first thing it's going to get is a suspension change and a wheel change, get rid of those ugly steel wheels. And then it's going to be a headlight upgrade, because we do need to use it in the dark. So it'd be nice to be able to see where we're going, whereas the standard lights are absolutely rubbish. I do really like the van. I think it's brilliant for what it is. It's just a shame it can't do more miles, but for the price of these, they are very hard to ignore if you want a van and you're not really going to go more than about, I don't know, a couple of hours away from home, charge while you're out and then come back again. So they might work for some people. Our purpose is going to be quite unique, which is why this will work for us. We don't need this van to go anywhere. I've got another van that we can use. All I want to do realistically is pool about in this to and from our local town and back and forth from home. So a great little commuter thing. At the same time, we can develop some pretty cool furniture for it, which is going to be a lightweight furniture just to keep the weight down in this thing. So it will get turned into a camper van, but it probably won't ever be used as a camper van. It can be a really lovely demo for us to sit outside so people can see certain things, you know, like the colors and the materials, and just get a feel of what the interior is going to be like. So it's a really nice thing to be able to show people exactly what you're building and your ideas that you've got. And it's nice to be able to see it in the van. We could all have it in a workshop where we can show you a bit of furniture on the floor, and yes, you'll be able to see what that furniture looks like, but you can't see and feel how it's going to look once it gets into your van. So we don't need this van to do 300 or 400 or 500 miles. It's never going to probably venture further than East Anglia. For us anyway, it's completely impractical to be charging it every hour and a bit, so it doesn't need to be used like that. Will we end up doing something else with it? Could we convert it into something? Well, there's a couple of options there, isn't there? We could turn it into
the old dinosaur powered thing that we've already got, so we could stick an engine in it. These are so cheap. You could buy one of these, buy a smashed up van, and literally convert everything out of that van into this thing. So it makes a really good base if you've got both vehicles and you want to swap one thing into the other and you just need this as a shell. We also could do something completely different. We could put something wild in it. You know, we could go and do another engine transplant of some other description, or even an electric conversion for something that's just a little bit better than what this is. So maybe something along the lines of a Tesla power plant with some decent batteries and some much needed range to get this thing actually usable. But for now, it's going to serve the purpose that we need, but we just need to turn this into more of a DCD looking van by making it look a little bit more of something that we'd be proud to have outside.
So is the collaboration with Apt worse than the collaboration with Ford? Is this something you could live with? It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, this is quite a niche thing. It's going to be a difficult van, I think, for most people to live with, which is why they were massively unpopular and why they are now so cheap. But I don't think they could be ignored. Like I said, is it worth buying one of these to then just use it as a shell, convert it into something else, put something really interesting in it? This could be a fantastic long-term project where the actual cost of the base van itself is so cheap that for a 6.1, you've actually got a really lovely start to then go and do something else with. So what a crazy van. Do you think I'm absolutely nuts for buying this thing, even though it was exceptionally cheap? Is this just such a stupid idea? This is a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble, but like I said, I think we're going to be able to use it. It's going to work for the majority of what I'd like to do. It's frustrating that it won't be able to do more, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem for us. But like I said, is this a crazy idea? Not everybody's going to be able to live with one of these for sure. It's a very niche van. But is it a quirky little cool van? Could you see yourself with something like this? Would you like to follow the journey as we develop this and turn it into the most unusable camper van there has ever been? Do you prefer it to the Ford? Would you rather push this than drive a Ford? That's been said before, hasn't it? There was a bumper sticker, a fair few years ago. Like, I'd rather push my Golf than drive a XYZ, whatever that was. Insert whatever you want to, like, not drive. Add that to it. So, I don't know. This is nuts, I'm for sure. I don't think this is probably one of my greatest ideas, but I think it's got potential. But in the meantime, I'm going to try my best to turn it into something cool and somewhat usable. If you'd like to follow me on that journey, then please do subscribe to the channel and give us a like. We're definitely going to need your support with this one. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.